In this video, we'll be taking a look at 5 NHL games happening on January 16th, 2026, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games. So 10 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 5 NHL games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Florida Panthers versus Carolina Hurricanes. The Florida Panthers head on the road to face the Carolina Hurricanes on Friday night at the Lenovo Center, and this one has that familiar feel where the home team is priced as the favorite, but the road dog looks very live. Florida comes in off wins against the Senators and Sabres and has the Capitals up next, and they have split their last 12 games, so it has been a bit of a roller coaster. Carolina has also split its last 12, with recent losses to the Red Wings and Blues and a date with the Devils on deck, so neither side is exactly on a heater right now. Here is the thing. The Hurricanes are almost always going to be favored in their own building, especially when they are coming off a couple of road losses and everyone starts talking about a bounce-back spot. You can understand that they are a strong home side and the market respects that style. But the Panthers at plus money are hard to ignore given what they can do when they are rolling. Florida has had the upper hand in this matchup for a while. They have won 8 of the last 10 meetings against Carolina, and that run includes 2 wins just last month. That kind of head-to-head success can get in the back of a team's mind, especially when many of the same core players are still involved. On top of that, the Panthers have played some of their best hockey over the last month, and they are slowly getting healthier, which is always a quiet boost even if it does not show up in one headline number. Florida is 8-2 straight up in the last 10 head-to-head games against Carolina, and 6 of those wins have come by 3 or more goals. So this rivalry has not just been tilted, it has often been lopsided on the scoreboard. There is every reason to expect that pattern can continue, or at least that Florida can stay right there punch for punch. Honestly, anytime you can get plus money on a team with that profile and that recent history against this opponent, it feels like a spot where you just take the price and live with the result. That mindset does not really change here. As our first pick for this matchup, the Florida Panthers money line is our full game side pick. The Panthers are averaging 3.04 goals per game and are converting on 18.8% of their power play chances. On the other side of the puck, they are allowing 3.2 goals per game and killing 83.8% of opponent power plays. So Florida scores enough and has a solid penalty kill, but they still concede over 3 goals a night on average, which keeps their games open. Carolina's numbers lean in a similar direction. The Hurricanes are putting up 3.28 goals per game and are cashing in on 19.6% of their power play opportunities. Defensively, they are allowing 2.98 goals per game and are killing 78.8% of opposing power plays. So they score a bit more than 3, give up just under 3, and their penalty kill is slightly shakier than Florida's. When you put all that together, you get 2 teams that live in that 3-goal neighborhood on both sides of the ledger. That alone hints at a decent chance of a high-scoring game. You do not even need wild finishing, you just need both offenses to be themselves. Recent history between these two helps push the picture in the same direction. There have been 6 or more total goals scored in 7 of the last 10 meetings. That is not a one-off spike. It is a clear pattern that shows how their styles clash in a way that tends to lift the total rather than drag it down. So with both teams averaging around 3 goals for and around 3 goals against, power plays that are good enough to matter, and a head-to-head history loaded with 6-goal games and above, it makes sense to lean toward a higher scoring outcome again. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Detroit Red Wings versus San Jose Sharks. The San Jose Sharks head into Little Caesars Arena on Friday to face the Detroit Red Wings, and for a matchup between a projected bottom feeder and a playoff hopeful, this price tag feels a bit wild on the surface. San Jose just beat the Capitals, dropped one to the Golden Knights, and has the Panthers on deck. But the key point is their recent surge. They have won 7 of their last 9 games. Detroit comes in after a win over the Hurricanes, a loss to the Bruins, and a date with the Senators next. And they have taken 9 of their last 13, so they are hardly slumping either. So you are looking at 2 teams that are actually in good form at the same time, which is not what anyone expected from the Sharks this season. They were not supposed to be this competitive, yet they keep finding ways to win games and, more importantly for our purposes, cover as underdogs. Their offense has really carried the surprise. They have scored 3 or more goals in 8 of their last 9 outings, which is not what you associate with a team everyone penciled in near the bottom of the standings. It is one of those runs where people keep waiting for the regression hammer, and it just keeps showing up a little later than expected. Detroit at home should obviously be favored. That part is not controversial. They are the more established group. Their recent record looks strong at 9 wins in their last 13, and home ice is not nothing here. The issue is the size of the number when the opponent is playing this well, especially when the matchup itself feels like it has 1-goal game written all over it. Laying a hefty price in a spot where both teams are in form and the underdog is comfortable scoring 3 on a regular basis becomes more of a leap of faith than a simple better team at home play. Honestly, it feels like the kind of game where you can enjoy the chaos a bit. 2 confident teams, one with expectations, one with a chip on its shoulder, and a line that leans heavily toward the favorite even though the underdog keeps cashing in this exact role. When that keeps happening, you either adjust or keep paying to find out you were stubborn. That is why taking the plus goals with San Jose at a generous number still makes sense here, even if it feels like another shot in the dark to some people. As our first pick for this matchup, the San Jose Sharks to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. The Sharks are averaging 3.13 goals per game and are cashing on 20.5% of their power play chances. On the defensive side, they are allowing 3.54 goals per game while killing 77.2% of opponent power plays. So they score at a solid clip, but they also give up plenty, and their penalty kill is serviceable but not airtight. Detroit sits in a very similar neighborhood. The Red Wings are averaging 3.06 goals per game and are converting 24.3% of their power play opportunities. Defensively, they allow 3.04 goals per game and are killing 79.8% of their opponents' power plays. That is another profile where goals for and goals against both hover right around 3, with a dangerous power play on top. When both teams are living in that 3-goal range on offense and sitting close to 3 allowed as well, you do not need much to push a game past a typical total. A single hot power play, a messy second period, or a stretch of trading chances can flip a quiet night into a 4-3 type scoreline very quickly. The Sharks' recent stretch of scoring 3 or more in almost all of their games, paired with Detroit's own consistent offense, points to a script where both sides contribute on the scoreboard. You are not banking on one team carrying the load. You are expecting each to do what their season averages say they usually do. So with both attacks humming, both defenses yielding around 3 per night, and special teams strong enough to matter, the setup leans toward a game that lands over a standard projected number rather than stalling out in a low-scoring grind. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Tampa Bay Lightning versus St. Louis Blues. The Tampa Bay Lightning visit the St. Louis Blues at Enterprise Center on Friday night, and this one has that classic hot contender versus struggling spoiler feel to it. The Lightning just beat the Penguins and Flyers with the Stars on deck, and they roll into this game on an 11-game winning streak that has completely reset their season narrative. The Blues, meanwhile, lost to the Golden Knights, beat the Hurricanes, and have the Oilers next, but they have dropped 5 of their last 8 and are still trying to find real consistency. The story with Tampa Bay is pretty simple right now. They are on an absolute tear. They have won 11 straight, 7 of those on the road, which says a lot about how well they are traveling and how steady their game is. They even handled St. Louis during this run, winning 4-1 back on December 22nd, which gives them recent head-to-head confidence too. This heater has pushed them to the top of the Atlantic Division with 64 points in this setup, and there have not been many signs of them easing off. The offense is humming along, and maybe even more impressive, they have allowed just 6 total goals over their last 4 games. St. Louis is dealing with the opposite problem. They have struggled to score goals on a consistent basis all season. Their 2.49 goals per game sit at the very bottom of the league by this analysis. Things got even tougher when Robert Thomas was placed on injured reserve with a lower body issue. He leads the Blues in points with 34 and is tied for the team lead in goals with 11, so losing him strips away a big chunk of their playmaking and finish. Trying to replace that against a red-hot and locked-in Lightning team is a very tall order. Tampa Bay comes into this matchup with 11 straight wins and 4 consecutive games allowing 2 goals or fewer. They are 17-4-3 on the road this year, which is an elite away record. St. Louis is 11-9-5 at home, solid but not overwhelming. The Blues have lost 3 of their last 4, and while they did beat Carolina most recently, they have scored 2 goals or fewer in 3 of their last 5 and sit as the lowest scoring team in the league in this write-up. You can make a small case for the plus money with the Blues, as they have played their best hockey on home ice and weird things do happen in the NHL, especially when a streak has to end at some point. But here is the thing, the Lightning have won 11 in a row, and the logic has been to ride them through this stretch until they actually falter. The streak will not go on forever, everyone knows that, but while the price is still reasonable and they are playing elite hockey at both ends of the ice, it is tough to step in front of them. The Blues have too many stretches where their offense simply disappears, and that is the last thing you want against a team that can punish you for every mistake. Tampa Bay is going to lose again at some point. It just does not feel like the most trustworthy spot for St. Louis to be the one to do it, given how unreliable their scoring has been. As our first pick for this matchup, the Tampa Bay Lightning money line is our full game side pick. The Lightning are averaging 3.51 goals per game and converting on 20.1% of their power play opportunities. Defensively, they are allowing 2.56 goals per game and killing 83.7% of their opponents' power plays. So Tampa Bay scores at a strong clip, stays dangerous on the man advantage, and still gives up enough that their games do not automatically turn into one-sided defensive clamps. On the other side, the Blues are averaging 2.49 goals per game and are scoring on 17.1% of their power play chances. Defensively, they are allowing 3.38 goals per game and killing 77% of opposing power plays. That is a profile of a team that struggles to score but allows plenty. Their goals against number is especially important here because combining that with Tampa Bay's 3.51 goals per game creates a pretty high baseline expectation for the Lightning side of the scoreboard. If Tampa Bay plays anywhere near their current offensive level, they are capable of putting 3 or 4 on St. Louis by themselves, especially against a defense that allows 3.38 goals per night and has a below-average penalty kill. The question for the total is less about whether the Lightning will score and more about whether the Blues can chip in enough. Even with their offensive issues and the injury to Thomas, they are still sitting just under 2.5 goals per game on average, and home ice can help them scrape together a couple. With that mix, you do not need a crazy outlier to get over a typical total. A 4-2 type game lands you there. So does 5-2 or 4-3 if St. Louis finds some timely finishing and maybe sneaks one on the power play. Tampa Bay's strong attack, St. Louis's leaky defense, and the structure of both power plays all lean toward enough chances and quality looks to push this matchup above a projected number rather than bogging down into a pure defensive grind. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Nashville Predators versus Colorado Avalanche. The Nashville Predators head into Ball Arena on Friday night to face the Colorado Avalanche, and this one has that clear heavyweight versus hopeful feel to it. The Avalanche are sitting on 74 points with a record of 33-4-8, sitting first in the Central Division and playing like a team that expects to stay there. The Predators come in with 48 points and a record of 22-20-4, sitting fifth in the Central, trying to hang around the playoff conversation more than dictate it. Colorado has handled this matchup reasonably well this season. They are 2-1 in the 3 meetings against Nashville, and they took the only matchup in Denver by a 4-2 score. Stretch it out a bit, and the last 10 meetings between the teams are tied 5-5, so there is some history of pushback from the Predators, but the recent tilt of this season still favors the Avs. The Avalanche have been talked about as the best team in hockey this season, yet they are just 2-3 in their last 5 games, which is a reminder that even the top teams wobble. At home, though, they have been on a different level. They own a 19-0-3 home record and have still never lost in regulation in their own building. Their league-high 19 home wins tell you just how hard it is to come into Denver and walk out happy. Nashville, by comparison, has been much shakier away from home. The Predators are 9-10-2 on the road and only 6-4 in their last 10 overall. That is decent, but it does not scream juggernaut, especially when you stack it up against that Avalanche home dominance. Colorado just had a long home win streak snapped by Toronto, so they have had a few days to stew on that loss. It is easy to imagine them treating this as a reset spot, a chance to reassert themselves in front of their own crowd after that sting. As solid as Nashville has been at times, the feeling here is that they are simply overmatched by a deeper, more explosive, and more structured Avalanche group, especially in this building. Honestly, with the gap in talent, the home ice edge, and the way Colorado has handled most teams in this arena, it makes sense to expect the Avalanche not just to win, but to do it with enough margin to cover a favorite spread rather than scrape by in a coin flip outcome. As our first pick for this matchup, the Colorado Avalanche to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Offensively, Colorado is putting up 4.02 goals per game, and they are converting 16.9% of their power play chances. Defensively, they are allowing just 2.20 goals per game and killing 85.8% of opponent power plays. That combination is interesting. They clearly have the firepower to fill the net, but they also clamp down well enough defensively that games do not always turn into chaotic track meets. A strong penalty kill and a low goals against average usually mean fewer easy goals and a lot of cleaned up mistakes. On the other side, Nashville's offense has been more modest. The Predators are averaging 2.74 goals per game and converting 19.4% of their power play opportunities. Defensively, they are allowing 3.28 goals per game and killing 79.7% of opposing power plays. So you get a team that can score a bit, but not at an elite rate, and that allows more than 3 per night on average. Against Colorado's defensive structure and special teams, it is not hard to picture Nashville getting squeezed at times, especially if they spend long stretches trying to break through a tight neutral zone and heavy forecheck. The overall picture looks something like this. Colorado has a high scoring ceiling, but also one of the stingier defensive profiles. Nashville has enough offense to be dangerous in spurts, but not enough to reliably drag a game into a wild shootout against a locked-in Avalanche team. If Colorado gets ahead, it would be very natural for them to manage the game, roll lines, and lean on their defensive strength rather than push the pace recklessly. When you blend those elements together, you get a setup where the total can land on the lower side of what people might assume from a big-name matchup. There is room for quality, but not necessarily for a bloated scoreline if Colorado dictates tempo and Nashville struggles to turn its chances into volume scoring. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Anaheim Ducks versus Los Angeles Kings. The Los Angeles Kings sit at 19-16-11 on the season after that 3-2 overtime loss to Vegas, which fits the pattern lately, close but not quite getting over the line. The Anaheim Ducks are 22-21-3 after finally getting a feel-good win, a 3-1 result over Dallas that at least stopped the bleeding. Anaheim snapping that long losing streak does not suddenly erase their issues, but it does change the mood in the room. The Ducks have still allowed at least 5 goals in 4 of their last 5 games, which tells you exactly where the leaks are. Defense and goaltending have not been doing them many favors. They are 9-13-2 on the road, so this is not some road warrior group, but they at least come in with a little more belief after beating a strong Stars team. On the Kings side, home ice has not exactly been a fortress either. Los Angeles is 7-10-6 at home, which is a strange look for a team that still has a winning overall record. They have dropped 4 of their last 5 games and scored 2 goals or fewer in 3 of their last 4, so confidence with the puck is not exactly overflowing. When your scoring dries up like that, even solid defensive structure starts to feel fragile because every mistake looms larger. That is why this matchup feels a bit different than it would have a month ago. Anaheim's defense and goaltending have been a problem, no question, but the fair question is whether the Kings are currently sharp enough offensively to really punish that weakness. Right now, their recent output suggests they might not be. If you are looking at this from a simple who can actually take advantage of whom angle, the Ducks' offense has been the more reliable side of their game than anything the Kings are doing with the puck lately. So while Anaheim's overall body of work this season does not scream trust, the combination of a small bounce in form, a broken losing streak, and a struggling Kings attack makes the road side more appealing than you might expect in this spot. As our first pick for this matchup, the Anaheim Ducks money line is our full game side pick. Offensively, the Kings are averaging 2.59 goals per game and converting 16.2% of their power play chances. Defensively, they are allowing 2.74 goals per game and killing 76.5% of opponents' power plays. so they lean low scoring on average, but their penalty kill is not elite, and that can nudge a game higher if they take a few too many minors. Anaheim, on the other hand, brings more volatility. The Ducks are averaging 3.24 goals per game and scoring on 16.8% of their power play opportunities. Defensively, they are allowing 3.67 goals per game and killing 77.6% of their opponents' power plays. That is almost the exact recipe for high-event hockey: score over 3, give up well over 3, and live with the chaos. Put those profiles together and you do not need an offensive masterpiece to see this tilt creep over a typical total. Anaheim's defense has already shown what can happen when things get loose, letting in 5 or more in 4 of their last 5. If the Kings are ever going to look more alive offensively, it is against a team with that kind of concession rate and a penalty kill that is only middling. Even a modest bump from Los Angeles, paired with the Ducks' usual 3-goal potential, drives you toward a 4-3 or 5-3 type scoreline more often than not. So while it is fair to doubt the Kings' finishing touch, the combination of Anaheim's high-scoring averages at both ends and a vulnerable penalty kill on each side leans toward a game with enough chances and breakdowns to push the final number above a standard total. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.